Hey bunnies, I knew you'd be back. Plus, the mask, awkward Brio sex, and secret spy Noah are also back. Let's talk about it now.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz
begin! Hello, welcome to Good Girls Book Club. I'm Kelsey, and I have Juliet with me as always. How you doing, Juliet?
I'm doing great. I love book club.
I love book club night too. It's a good night to have it. I am real excited about tonight.
Yes,
We've
me
got
too.
a lot to talk about. How are you doing, first of all?
I'm doing great. This was an amazing episode. There are so many moments I was, really anticipating what was going to happen. And we had this sex scene I can't wait to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about Stan going to jail, the girls robbing the quickie store, Noah and Dean coming home. Plus, we've got some special segments tonight. We have the baddest good girl. We have shout outs. We've got a little bit of news, and we have our predictions. So it's a full show tonight. Are you ready to jump in?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let's get started talking about Stan, because we opened up the show with Stan going to jail. And in our predictions last week, we were kind of on the fence as to if he was actually going to be taken to jail, if he's going to stay there or whatever. But he went to jail, and we found out that Agent Turner didn't have any info on him. What did you think about that overall?
I mean, I think last week I was saying that I didn't think we were out of the woods completely, but I didn't think that they would open an episode with this. I thought that we were going to be semi in the clear for at least a little bit, and they gave us no room for that.
Right. I mean, they just jumped right into that. I mean, this show does move so fast, and they bring so many elements into it. But yeah, that really, you just see him ripped from the family.
In front of the kids.
In their pajamas. They're getting ready for school. And yeah, oh my gosh, it's so heart-wrenching. And that's always been one of my favorite families on the show. So seeing that was really hard. But I was kind of shocked to see that Agent Turner really doesn't have much in the fact of proving he's guilty or keeping him locked up. Really, he's just trying to frame Stan for Beth killing someone. Do you think that this is going to be successful? What do you think about, an FBI agent framing a cop?
I think this was intense, and it was a great way to bring it about because he had mentioned, I have a guy who saw you do it prior to this scene, and I really thought that. And then in this episode, I didn't think it was such a smart move on his end because he was admitting that there wasn't really no guy, but that he had the power to make up a guy, which really let us see who this character is. And he's, we kind of see him as the bad guy because he's going after the good girls. But ultimately in his core, you're like, oh, he's doing the right thing and we're just rooting for the bad guys.
Right.
But seeing that, they're giving what they did in this episode, they're kind of changing that dynamic. So he's not really that good. And I don't think anyone is that good or that bad in the show. That's kind of the whole point.
That's true. What I kind of want to see is we just see him as the bad guy. Like you're saying, he's a good guy, but we're just rooting him as the bad guy. And bouncing off of what you're saying, he has a boss that is telling him, pushing him to close this case, I'm sure. If you look at it from that perspective, the FBI is probably okay, this case has been open for too long. We need to close it. We need answers. And I kind of wish the show would show some of that behind the scenes part of he's getting pressure from someone else too. Mm-hmm. And it would be kind of nice to see the show put pressure on Agent Turner and kind of see why he's being so aggressive and all of that stuff rather than just having it stop with him.
I completely agree with that point. I think that's very smart of you. And I also think that I would like to see a little bit more. There's been no heat on Rio whatsoever, which I know that he has a lawyer friend, which I kind of want us to dig deeper into. But it's going off of that. It's kind of why are you sticking with Beth? I feel like there's other things that you could be going after. And are you the only one working on this case? It kind of seems like you are, except for the other partner, except for Noah.
Yeah, which we're about to jump into in a minute. But before we move on, I want to touch on one other element as far as the Stan lockup and Turner, pressing him. We also see some repercussion on the family side of it, and we saw Sarah kind of I don't want to say that she wanted her dad to be in jail, but she asked Ruby, like, if he did something wrong, then she said, well, he should be in jail, pretty much. I was kind of, like, taken aback. Like, I didn't know how to react to that scene. Like, this whole, I feel like Sarah is kind of like, okay, my dad did something bad. Why are we getting him out of jail? And when he comes back home, she's like really on edge. Like, she's very much like, I don't know if I want him home kind of attitude.
I think it's also she just has so much love and trust for them, and that's kind of been changed, and so that's why she doesn't know what to think, and everything seems a lie. She used to look up to her parents so much and look up to her dad so much. To find out that he's a criminal, it goes against everything that they've taught her. So I kind of understand where she's coming from.
I know. Oh, it's a little nerve-wracking. I don't. And do you think that Ruby handled that well as a mother, talking to Sarah and telling her, that he did do the truth, or he did, commit a crime, essentially? Like, do you think that was what she should have said?
No, I thought that was weird because, well, I kind of understand it, just, again, the dynamic that they've shown as this family that's super loving, super trusting, and very open. But as a mother, I don't know if that was the best decision for that character, because I feel like she could have just been, given her, like, stop it, go to your room, or
right,
do
like
something,
she could say, because I said so, and say, stop, we'll talk about this later, push it off,
Exactly. She should have cashed in her mom privileges.
If any time, that was the time. Agreed. Well, speaking of committing crimes, the girls brought their masks out again this episode, and we saw them rob a place. And last week it was up for debate, and there was a lot of predictions on what store it was going to be, and it ended up being the Quickie store, which I think you predicted. So that was kind of fun to see that callback, in this episode. The guy that played JT, which is the cashier, I thought he was so much fun. He's very snarky, and there are elements that rub me the wrong way, but he's kind of like an annoying little brother in a way, and I just really appreciated his character, and I thought that was a very funny scene about them, robbing the store, and, having to deal with kidnapping this guy and taking care of the little bird. So now they've robbed another store. The crimes keep coming.
Yeah.
When will it stop?
I was confused that, does he run that place, or is he just an employee? Because he didn't seem to care too much. He was getting all this money stolen, so part of me was like, oh, he's just an employee, doesn't care that much about his job. But then when he announced that he went to school, finance school, and this and that, I'm like, wait, do you own the store? So I was a little bit I would have liked more clarity of that, because if he owned the store, do you have insurance? That's why you don't care? Like, I just have more questions. Am I the only one? Let me know in the chat.
I know. Let us know. It left it open-ended because, adding on to that, he also didn't call the cops, and then all this money is gone, all these files are gone. Who's going to be asking about that stuff? So I don't know, but I thought it was a funny episode. Do you think that because we have so many open-ended, I guess, parts of this, that we're going to see him coming back in the next few episodes, maybe answering some of those questions?
Honestly, I kind of hope he comes back. I was thinking this when he was actually being kidnapped. I liked him just as a character. I thought he was fun, and I think he's smart. I kind of would like him to get involved, and maybe this is the new place of business we launder money at. I think that'd be very cool.
I think that would be really fun. He would be a great person to work with, I think. He'd be really snarky. You'd have to have your coffee, I think, before you dealt with him. But otherwise, I think he'd bring a lot of fun and pizzazz to the job. Let's take a break real quick and just shout out to some people that are in the chat. Hello, everybody. Thanks for chatting. We love to see what you guys think. And we're going to read a few things now. Michael B's out there. Hey, Michael B.
Hey, Michael B.
Hey, Michael B. Ruby should have straight up told her that it's your fault that they weren't in the mess. So we have several seats. I think we are talking about Sarah in this situation. She should have straight up told her, to go home. Erin is in the chat. Hello, Erin. The little girl needs to stand by her father because her mother literally robbed a bank for her to get new lungs. So
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that comment, but yeah, that's a great reminder. Thank you for that.
Yes, and then we have a lot of people in the chat talking about JT, how he's super chill, how he's very funny, and everybody's really loving the food scene with Annie.
Aww.
So I would have to agree. That was a delightful scene of, did you forget my guac too situation. I just was, yeah, it was delightful. Very well written, as the show does. We now should move on to Noah.
Noah.
No to Noah.
Master of what's
Deceit.
The word? Deceit.
Yes. So he is sneaking. He is very smart. And the things that he says seem like they're off the cusp, but I think that they're very well planned and well thought out. So we see him this episode. He gets Annie out of the house, and he gets to stay in the house and snoop through all of her belongings. We also see him at the end, which was a huge scene, kind of say, I'm not perfect. I've, stolen cash from my job before. And Annie just feeds into it.
She literally has stars in her eyes as he's going on about like how he did it once and then it got easier and then he just kept on doing it, and she's just like so ecstatic and almost turned on and feels that she finally has someone she can speak to and tell all these things to, because she has been holding on to all these secrets. I know that she has her sister and a Ruby, but this is someone that that she's starting to really like. So this is not going to end well. And as she said, she was like, we're going to need shots for this conversation. And I was like, oh, girl, I'm going to need shots for the rest of the episodes. Are you kidding me?
I know. Oh, my gosh. This is getting so intense. And it was so good because he hasn't found anything on her. Like, how big of a mess that Annie is. So he can't find any kind of crime that she's committed. Like, all of the boxes of the stolen stuff was in the last episode in that car. So she got rid of all kind of the evidence that he could find. And it was like, oh, she almost got away with it. And now she's just going to open up and tell him everything.
Yep. I hope he has a wire for his sake, and then for our sake, I really hope he doesn't have a wire.
I know. The other thing is he's been on this case, like, sleeping with Annie for so long and hasn't found anything. I'm shocked that he's able to stay on this case as her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Like, why wasn't he taken off of it after he, didn't find anything?
No, I don't know. I think this has to be unethical of some sort. Like, he's basically an undercover cop. I mean, he is an undercover cop, but his undercover cover is being someone's boyfriend. Like, that has to be illegal, I'm hoping.
I know. I feel like I have some friends who might want to be undercover girlfriends. Like, is that a way to find a guy? I don't know. Like, maybe. I mean, I have great friends, but nobody, like, shady. But I'm just saying, is this the new dating app?
Great friends you want to hook them up with. Uncharged criminals.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, God.
Just kidding. But, yeah, we also have Sadie, who almost caught him. Mm-hmm. And then he becomes her best friend. I mean, the guy is sly. I have been on Team Noah for a while. I get that. But, I mean, the sales have turned. I am not Team Noah anymore at all. And Sadie, he's like sneaking and winning hearts of everybody, and I don't like it because now Sadie is becoming best pals with him, and then Greg's the only one that finds him suspicious, but no one's going to believe Greg because he's the ex.
Yep.
So is anyone going to catch him?
I don't know, man. And we're close to the finale, too. We're getting there, so.
We're getting there. So let us know in the chat kind of what you think Noah's storyline is, and we're going to talk about that more in predictions. Next, we see Deansy. Love talking about Deansy. He is finally coming home. We have a whole episode where he was gone. Would you have liked to see him stay away longer, or are you happy that he's coming home?
I mean, he wasn't really... I think I would have liked maybe one episode more of him gone. Mm-hmm. Just to kind of see how she would keep on navigating an empty house. We got bits and pieces of that, and that was very sad, but also I think it made for great content, and I would have liked to enjoy maybe a few more scenes of that.
Right, because even though he was gone, they still had the birthday, so he was still there, and they still talked about it. It wasn't like he was truly gone, I think, for this episode. But she did talk to his mom at the birthday, and we find out that Dean is just like his dad. So I don't know. He's back, and she's gonna quit everything to have her kids back and Dean back. So she's giving up Rio and the business.
Yep. Hasta
la vista.
Which I thought was so odd as well, because remember when there was that whole scene when Rio was like shooting at the cars and he was like, you work for me now, you're laundering all these cars. It didn't seem like there was like a time limit or it was a number of cars. It kind of seemed like an indefinite thing. And then it just seems a little bit too easy that she's like, I'm out, and he's like, okay. I feel like there's going to be more to that.
Yeah. How has she ever been able to just walk away? We talked about this last time, and you're in it, so I don't see her walking away. But she really did some closure on this episode, and I have to talk about this scene. Obviously, this was like the highlight of the thing. We saw Brio, and everybody is always excited about #Brio. And Beth came in, she initiated everything, as she does. You know, she walks in there and she is the boss.
That was not, I'm sorry, I have to cut you off there. That's not what happened. She did not walk into that room as a boss by any means.
Well, she walked into the bar as a boss.
Okay, I'll give you that.
And then it turned into an awkward date, in my opinion. It was like, well, the money's not here. Come on to my room. Come on to my house. And then they're just like, talking about food, and then they go up to the bedroom, and it's just quiet. There is no music during this scene. I feel like it is just so taco.
It was so awkward, and I didn't know that. I mean, I think they played on the whole housewife thing, who was out of her element, but still, I wish that some of that boss energy that we've seen her with in the past kind of came out. I don't know why they kind of went in this direction with her. It was a very awkward thing. It really was. And I don't know if you let me know in the chat, but is that really what you anticipated? I know we've had one sex scene with them already, but this was the first, it's a little bit more romantical scene, or at least it was the first one in a bed, and there was more to be seen versus something super quick. And I don't know if this is fully what I wanted.
I know. This isn't... Okay, so you haven't had, like, any satisfaction with the Brio, because when we had the bar scene... the very first time, and it was super steamy, you were like, it was really gross because it was in a bathroom, and so it was really grungy. Now they're, in a bedroom, and it's just still awkward. So I feel like it's like a forced thing. Like, everybody wants it to happen, and it's just never as good as we want it to be.
I feel like once they started kissing, I was like, okay, yeah. And they shot this really cool with the light and all that. It was more of those awkward stares. She's just like taking her shoes off like a little weirdo. Like, oh God. And then he's laughing at the like mismatched socks.
Well, because I know he's like thinking she's cute, that housewife thing that you were talking about. But still, the music, there was no music. It was quiet. It was just... she takes off her jacket, and it's just nobody saying anything.
There was no sparks. There was no...
I know. I mean...
just flat.
I felt like when the next morning, or... No, I guess it wasn't the next morning. It was right after.
Yeah, it's that same night.
I know. Cause
no one's spending the night just yet when it comes to Rio.
Yeah, he does not stay over. But the kids were coming back, I guess. And so right after, I thought that was like the best scene. That was like a hot scene, because she was like, I'm done. Closure. And then she's like cleaning all the bed sheets and like changing the beds and doing all this stuff. She's going back to that housewife stuff, and it's just like, that's not going to last long. But yeah, so I don't know. I felt awkward for sure.
Yeah.
It's just never, like, I always want it to happen, and then it happens, and it's not always what I want. We have some people in the chat right now who are talking about Brio. We've got a little conflicting things. We've got some people who are saying that, well, Randy's saying he thinks Rio is going to tell Dean that him and Beth slept in their bed together. I mean, maybe that would be another awkward scene, of course. Vic is saying that it was an intimate scene. At the bar, they were making puppy eyes. The kitchen, they were smiling. The bedroom, they were acting nervous. Rio wasn't his cocky self. He just seemed just as nervous. So I feel like we've got some people who were excited. Samantha, I love Brio. I've been waiting since the beginning of this season for this scene. Well, it wasn't what I expected at all. And Aaron's saying that it was awkward too. So I feel like we're all over the board here. We're all over the board.
It's so funny because, I mean, the fans have been screaming this from the rooftops of the internet and really want this couple and want this chemistry. And it's really interesting that creatively they're going it this way. And I'm sure there's a reason for it. And again, I think because it keeps us intrigued. But yeah, it's interesting.
I know. Do you think we're going to get more Brio? Like, even though she says she's done with Brio, do you think that she's actually done with Rio?
I don't know, because then we don't have a show. So I don't care about your feelings, little Missy. We need a show. So you're going to go back to a life of hot sex, hopefully, and crime.
That's all we ask for.
That's all we ask for.
That's all we ask for.
40 minutes a week. That's what we want.
I like it. All right, so let's jump on into our other segments. We're going to talk about our baddest good girl. We're going to do some shout outs. We're going to have some news, and we're going to have some promos. So if you guys have your favorite baddest good girl, be sure to throw it in the chat. Leave it in the comment section. If you can think of a prediction for next week, then make sure you leave that in the comment and shout it out. And we will give you some love on air. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Everybody just say sounds good in the chat because I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into our baddest good girl.
Let's do it.
I'm going to let you start on this one.
Beth doesn't get it this week for sure, and usually she always gets it. She doesn't get it because I wanted her to walk in that room with more confidence. Annie doesn't get it because although I'm proud of her for putting it, as trying to pump the brakes on certain things, she fell right in the trap and she's about to open her pie hole. So there you go. I think Ruby has to get it because although the first attempt failed, she still figured out how to get the bail money. She got her husband out of jail for the time being, and that's, in my book, the goodest bad girl.
I would have to agree 100% with this one for pretty much the exact same reasons. And I was trying to think about other supporting ladies in this episode, but I wouldn't give it to Dean's mom because, she stayed with her husband the whole time. So, while he was doing terrible things and she knew about it, that's not cool. And she said she just looked the other way. And then I can't think of anybody else. Oh, Sarah, maybe, for standing her ground against what she feels about her dad. Mm-hmm. Maybe that could be one. But I also think for me it's going to be Ruby.
Okay.
Because she got Stan out of jail. And, yeah, she led the hoorah into the Quickie Mart. So, and she even, revealed herself to this guy to get the papers so everybody else didn't have to feel like trash. So I feel like that also deserves the baddest good girl.
Yes.
Yes. Let us know who you think your baddest good girl is this week. Put that in the comments and be sure to give us a like and a subscribe while you're at it. Cool. Should we move on to some shout outs?
Yes, I think we shall.
I love shouting out to everybody.
I love it. I love when you guys are so, each week you're tuning in, you're leaving those comments, and they really mean the world to us. So thank you again. We have Sweeney Todd, a loyal fan that we love dearly. We've seen you in those comments week in and week out. And again, we thank you for that. So your comment was, much as I don't like Dean, taking the kids and leaving was the right call. And I kind of agree with that. I'm with you on that one. Mm-hmm. Beth and her greed and addiction to anger, power, Rio is putting everyone around her at risk. Honestly, he probably should have done this a while ago.
Oh, everyone just sucks there.
Yeah, I have to agree. I'm with you. I don't like Dean. I like Beth's lifestyle of crime, but I don't really like it for the kids.
Yeah, it's not a great environment to grow up in, but everyone has a tough childhood, right?
Yeah. All right. Renee Cervantes says, I predict that Noah is actually going to develop feelings for Annie, and he's going to end up covering for her.
I would like that.
I would like that.
Because I started off Team Noah, so I could go back.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm not.
I like that, Renee. I might steal that for our prediction. So anybody who just listened, you did not hear that, and then I might read Renee's comment instead. Just kidding. Okay, so next comment is Asia T, who says, "Okay, ... Where is Mary Pat? Annie, after that, I kind of agree that Annie, after the cable guy, where is your paranoia?" Oh, I kind of agree with that too.
That's true. I want to know where Mary Pat is. I'd like to see her pop up.
I would like to see her pop up too.
For sure. What is she doing with all her kids?
Yeah. So after the cable guy, why are you not paranoid? I have a lot of questions. I'm not sold on the security guard on this as well. Okay, yeah, I kind of am with you on that one. Agent Turner is weird too. He has all the ammunition, but is following dumb leads. Well, that's true. Somebody is a big boss. Somebody is over Rio. Who? You think she's over him?
After this episode, maybe. I don't think she could ever really be over Rio. That's little danger side to her will always be there, I think.
Samantha Winkler says that I loved getting to see the flashbacks of Beth and Ruby's friendship. I'm right there with you on that one. I knew that Noah was a cop. He just kept on asking too many questions and then going and talking to Sadie about stuff Andy had said. It just seemed very fishy to me. When Beth told Dean that he is not helping the situation with Rio by stealing the money to have him killed, I really like that because it's true. Turner is becoming a problem. He thinks he can get Annie to turn on Beth. He should realize that if you can't get the best friend, then you're not going to get the sister. That kind of makes sense too. But this is like a different way to go about it, I feel like. So I don't know if I totally agree, but I get where you're coming from with that one. And that they probably know someone is asking around about Beth, so Annie won't spill to some guy she is dating. Well, that was last week, and this is this week, so...
Yeah, we see a little, development there. So thank you guys for shouting out. Keep leaving us comments, and we will shout you out on our next show. So shall we jump right on into the news?
Let's do it. Oh my God.
All right, Juliet, you have some news for us.
Yes, we have some exciting news, guys. We have some really cool new content that's in the works that's going to come out soon. Some of it is already out soon, revolving some of our favorite characters on the show. One of them being our very own Mr. FBI agent, James Leisure. He's joining a CBS drama pilot, so it's in the works. They're in production. We don't really have a release date just yet, but that's something to look forward to, coming out hopefully relatively soon on CBS. And it's about a couple who finds this land that there's some sort of resource that's on there, so we don't know if that's gold, if that's, gas, or whatever it may be. And with that just comes all this drama. They're going to try to own the land, and it seems very, very up there, but I'm very, very intrigued, and you guys should definitely tune in once we get to see it come out. So.
Yeah, maybe we'll definitely have an after show about it here at AfterBuzz. Maybe we'll be on it. We'll see how that goes, but it sounds like a very interesting show. CBS pilot, really cool things coming up for him.
Really exciting stuff. If you want to read more about this show, you can go head over to deadline.com and read all about it. Our other super, super exciting news.
Ooh, one more news.
More news.
Who is it?
What is it? What's going on? Because I know you guys love podcasts, because obviously you're listening to us.
Yeah, you are.
Well, guess what? We have another super, super exciting podcast that's coming out. That's already out with Reno Wilson. This podcast is about jazz legend Louis Armstrong, and it's called Pops.
Pops.
Yeah.
I have listened to this, actually.
Really? Tell me about it.
So it is an incredible podcast, and Reno is actually acting as this jazz legend, Louis Armstrong, and he does an incredible voice. He has like this very deep, raspy jazz voice, and he also, Reno Wilson, loves jazz. Like, he plays like in a band and stuff, like, or he goes and does something. I see it on his like Twitter and stuff a lot. But yeah, it's a really great podcast. They already have an episode out. I would highly recommend listening to it. They're very short. They're only like 15 minutes or less.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
and it just is telling the story about this jazz legend. So if I learned something from it, and you will too, I'm certain. So check that out. All right, so right before we wrap up, we're gonna jump into our promo and predictions.
Oh my God. This is when we predict the future.
I
the
know.
Good Girls' future. What will happen next?
I know. And if you have a prediction, then leave it in the comments and shout it out to us right now so we can read it. Do you have any predictions off the top of your head? Oh, before we get into predictions, let me do the promo. So on the promo, we saw a couple of things. First, Rio sits down with Ruby and Annie at the park. Then we see Annie stuffing a cooler full of something, I think it's pills, on Sarah's field trip. Then we see Noah saying it's go time, and the FBI storms through the car dealership. And lastly, we see Beth is clutching her purse back against a door. So that is what we saw. That's what we were given for the Good Girls prediction for next week. Ooh.
You and I were talking about this before we came into studio, is that we're super excited that each episode keeps getting better and better, and I think that they're really building up for a really, really, really cool season finale, because we have 4 more episodes left after this one. Is this 9? We have 10.
We have 13 total.
Yeah, so 4 more episodes
yes.
left.
Whatever math is.
So that's just exciting how they're really just building and building. And at least the promo I saw, to my brain, I was like, wow, this seems like a season finale promo. And it's like, no, it's not. It's just that good. So shout out to the writers once again.
We love them. We love them so much. It could go a million different directions. I think that they tied a lot of bows. I think in this episode we saw, the reconnecting of the Hill family. We saw Beth reconnecting her family. And then next week I feel like we're just going to see it fall apart. Annie and Ruby, it looks like, might veer off from Beth. So they might continue in the life of crime, leaving Beth out of it. Maybe Beth is going to get caught, or the FBI is going to bring her in next, kind of like they did with Stan. Maybe that's coming up. I feel like that's going to be part of my prediction. I think that Rio will help Beth out with his secret lawyer tennis person. So I think we're going to see them again. And that's kind of it. I hope that Annie doesn't tell Noah everything, but it probably will happen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely will happen. I think in this episode she's going to find out who he really is. And I think that Beth and Dean are going to try to take a step towards mending their relationship on a romantic level.
And we have a couple predictions in the chat before we wrap it up. Samantha says, my prediction is Beth starts to miss the criminal life. Noah finds something about Bolin Motors, leading to Turner storming into the Bolin Motors. So she thinks Noah's going to find something, and that's going to lead it into the storming into the Motors company, the car dealership. Then we also see a prediction. Aaron says, prediction, Beth is going to be a better parent.
Aww.
I don't know. Maybe for a minute. I mean, she does make really great sandwiches. I'll say that. So if you have a prediction, be sure to leave that in the comments. We will shout you out next week. One more thing. We have news for our show. We are actually, and we hate to say this, but we're not going to be here next week. We will be here the following week. So we aren't going to be covering episode 10, but we will be covering 10 and 11 together the following week. So
make sure to set your calendars for that and stay tuned. So as you're mentioning, that means that we're not back on the 6th. We're back on the 13th.
We're back on the 13th, but I'll be in my Twitter live tweeting when I'm watching the episode. So don't be mad at us. We are going to miss you so much, but we will be right back here. So make sure you come back to us, and we will talk about 10 and 11 on the show. And speaking of live tweeting the episode next week, you can follow me so you can chat with me at Kelsey Hightower. And Juliet, where can people follow you to chat about the show?
You guys can follow me on Instagram. Please do at Bonjour Juliet. That's hello in French, and Juliet is my name. And put them together, and you'll find my Instagram.
All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. We love seeing you guys in the comments. We love that you like us. We like you too, and we will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.
Our founder, Kevin Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.